Hi everyone. Sorry we're starting a few minutes late. Once again, we have some technical challenges, 90% of which, probably 105% of which are my fault. But thank you all for being here. I think this is the 5th year that we've done this annual meeting, which is something that I think has given us an opportunity to share about our ongoing projects and talk a little about our finances and how Breckinridge is put together with a broader audience. So a little housekeeping for those of you in the room. If you have questions about anything I'm talking about, just shout them out. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and type them in the comment section, but I'm going to answer all of them at the end because I want to be mindful of everyone's time and get through this as quickly as possible. So, here you go. Jump right in. For those of you that heard me present before, this is one that we've seen a lot, but I'd like to start with a bit of history about Breck United. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. A common misconception is that this is a government office. It is not. We are completely separate. But we work very closely with the county, with our cities, and our majority publicly funded. We were initially founded in 2006, and our mission statement, Breck United, strives to create an environment for sustainable growth and development. We accomplish this by laying the foundation for the recruitment of new industry and the continued retention and expansion of local business in order to create a healthier and wealthier community. One thing I always like to point out is I think a misconception about economic development is that we create jobs. I think what we try to show in our mission statement and in our work is that we are not job creators ourselves, but we are facilitators. We try to help create an environment in which other people who are more qualified, knowledgeable about their various business skill sets can create those jobs. This is our current board of directors. If you are in this room and on the board of directors, would you please give a kind wave to each other? Thank you. So our board, and the way it's written in our bylaws, is made up of small business representatives, ag representatives, the superintendents of both our public school districts. I'm one for ATC principal who so kindly let us speak up in here again tonight. We have a healthcare representative, the Chamber of Commerce director, and then folks from our local government. So we have a lot of different skill sets and experiences that make up the board. And I think that's really important for us as an organization that we're able to bring all those different perspectives together in our decision making and planning for what is good for growth in the county. And these are for the small business seats and ag seats, 3-year terms. For judge and superintendents and the folks those kind of jobs, they're just stuck with me for as long as they have those jobs. They're stuck being on the board. This is just a quote that goes back to, I said, my philosophy on economic development. It's defined as what leaders need to do to enhance wealth building opportunities for constituents and build a quality place that attracts and retains talent, residents, and visitors. I think in our modern economy, more than ever, we know that workforce is the critical issue for so many projects. And so we can't just be thinking about how to bring jobs into the area, but how do we bring things to the area that make those places sticky for people. We want employers to not just see a good site for them to build a building, but to see a community in which they know they can recruit and retain the talent they need to build that building. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about our industrial projects. If you are unfamiliar with economic development, I always like to give a brief reminder as to why we develop real estate. Because you might be thinking, man, it's so expensive and why time? What's all that for? So when we are working with companies and trying to get people to build in the area, what they're looking for is speed to market. Because the more quickly someone can build and be operational, the more quickly they can start making money. So for us to be competitive, we need to have industrial sites that have all the utilities on site in the ground, ready to roll. Even better if the sites are already flat and all that jazz. So we've had great success the last couple of years working on 2 sites to try to get those up to speed and more attractive for developers and potential communities. This is our industrial park here in Hardinsburg. Is that easy to see from that? Just making sure. So we have 45 available acres in this section of our industrial park. This is Highway 60 over here, but we're still kind of wrapped up those. We just recently finished in this park a brand new pump station for sewer to expand the capacity for wastewater in the park. We had some extra money left over in that grant, and also repaved the road and put up a new sign, which I've got some pictures of the base in here later. Oh, no, I don't. This is the old presentation. Darn. Drive by sometime. We've put up a new sign. It looks really nice. Once it has words on it, it'll look even better. And that project was funded through a Kentucky Product Development Initiative grant, which I'll touch on even more in our next slide. But this is an example of a build-ready site. So this is a site that's got everything it needs for someone to come and build on it right away. And while we would love to work with a company, a larger company, somebody looking from outside the area on this site, I think this is also a great opportunity if anyone is listening or someone who has an idea that's homegrown and wants to start a business here in the area. We have opportunities to divide this up, and this doesn't have to be that we're just working with people outside the county coming in. We would love to also be working with homegrown talent. And this park is owned by our industrial authority, not Breck United. So one of our industrial authority board members is here, and that's a really good partnership that we have that's helped us work on this site. Anybody have any questions about this property? Okay. Yeah. So this is our newest site, which is just outside of Irvington. So to kind of orient everybody, this is Highway 60 down here, and that is the railroad tracks. This is downtown Irvington area. We bought this property, we Breck United in 2022, and this was just a farm. So we have been developing this property from raw ground to try to make it an industrial site. We bought this specifically because of the rail. So there are not many rail service sites like in the state of Kentucky. That's an asset that we knew we wanted to take advantage of for future projects. So that was why we took this big jump and bought this site. Over the last couple of years, in addition to doing due diligence, we've also got some grant funding to do water and sewer extensions to the site, which we hope to finish this year, and then to construct a new entrance off Highway 60, which we hope to finish next year. And both those projects and the acquisition of the site were partially funded again through the Kentucky Product Development Initiative grant. So that program has been such a colossal asset to us. And we are beyond thankful to General Assembly and the Cabinet for making that happen. I think we're not alone in rural counties and saying that site development is unattainable for so many of us without that assistance. We're talking about projects that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're going to be paying on the two that we're working on currently only 13% of those projects. So it made it so much more accessible for us. Oh no, I just forgot I didn't talk about the money. That's the downside of not actually having the presentation I designed. We will come back to it at the end. But we'll be paying 13.5% for those projects. So again, that's just such a wonderful investment from our General Assembly and partnership. So to those of you that are here that were part of that decision, thank you so much. And long term for this site, this is not an exact plan of what we hope to do here, but it's just an idea of what is possible on this site long term. It's about 80 acres total. Any questions about this particular property?
What's that little bill? Like, yeah, right in the middle.
This?
No.
No.
On the actual property.
To your right. Right to the left of lot number 2.
Yeah, right to the left of lot number 2.
It's just a small.
What's that say?
Like this?
Yeah, what's that
It
say?
just says proposed facility.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just another
This is smaller.
possible use for it.
Yeah.
This is the focus of the site, so they had to chop this up a lot smaller to try to get it into multiple lots. But my ideal vision for the property really is one large employer on this 50 acres and then a couple possibly smaller things up here by the highway. So moving away from real estate, talk for a few minutes about business retention and expansion, which is a set of strategies that helps us connect with and promote our existing industries. This is an area where I think that we consistently have not done our best work just because it takes a lot of time and there's only one me. So what we decided to do a couple years ago was a program called Sector Summits. And these are monthly events where people can come to us. We've split the months up by different sectors. So this past month was food service, and we have guided roundtable discussions about businesses and what problems they're facing. I think when we were trying to do mostly site visits and go in person to places, that ask a lot of time and commitment from the business owners. They might have to, put things away or people come in and all that. So this allows us to still have those connections and hear what problems people might have without necessarily intruding on people's space. So if you would like for us to come and visit, we would love to anytime. We would love to visit. One other thing that we do is try to work with companies, and this is not just new companies, but also existing companies wanting to expand on accessing tax credits and or other financial programs in the state. So I know these are changing somewhat. Had a conversation this week with someone who's interested in some programs and kind of gave the caveat that we're still learning a bit about some of the new changes and how we're considering our counties, but in Kentucky, we do have tax credits available to support the growth of businesses, and that's not just new folks. So, anytime that you're thinking about expanding and want help with that, that's a time to reach out to us as well. We're glad to assist. Entrepreneurship is one of the other corners of what we do, and that's one of the reasons that I like to do this presentation in this building, because we have a class here at the ATC that we help support called Breck. It is a wonderful experience, a terrifying experience. I'm always scared of children, and I'm not a natural teacher, so it's been a real learning process for me. But we have an in-school business where the kids have different jobs in different departments. We expanded this year to include a capstone project that I think was really successful for its first year. And what we did is we had the kids follow a business through the whole year and reverse engineer a business plan. So every month they interviewed their business about a specific aspect of their work, whether it was their operations or their history, that kind of stuff. And put this all together, actually wrote a business plan for them, and then had to present that to their peers at the end of the year. So got some experience with networking, with public speaking, which was an interesting project for some of them. We took some talking into. But I loved hearing what they learned being out actually communicating with business leaders. And some of the most impactful ones, I think, were kids that said, I thought that I would like this, and I hated this. And that's okay, because we'd rather them say that than be out of here in 5 years and try to start their business in that field and spend the money and then realize that they don't like it. Long term, our goal with this has always been, how do we help kids see jobs themselves in the area? How do we help them see, I don't have to go out of the county for work. I can't have this here at home. I can build a network here at home that can help me with those things. And I think that we won't see the fruits of this for a long time. But I'm really proud of the work they've been able to do so far, and really pleased that ATC's allowed us to be involved with this. Mr. Storm Fracture is the actual teacher of the class and is a rock star. And very grateful to him for putting up with me. And it's just a really, really good program. We are looking for some more employers who are willing to work with kids this year. So I will be taking volunteers. You just have to talk with them once a month. We give you the questions ahead of time. You will have to appear on a podcast once and or send a representative to appear on a podcast once. But I promise it's not scary. It's way less scary than talking live, which I do all the time. I promise we can cut out the bad stuff you mess up. So if anyone's interested in that, just let me know. And we have some previous podcasts on our YouTube channel and are hoping to get them all on Spotify, so that in the long run we have a bank of not only the kids' work, but if other people that are not in the class are actually growing a business or interested in starting a business, they can learn from those kids as well. These are a few pictures of our students this year. We did a campsite at Axel. This is our customer service week that we've done the last couple of years. It's a hoot. I wish I could film it. We have them act out different scenarios that you might face in customer service, both the good, bad, and ugly, and they had a great time playing the ugly. They're very good at being bad customers. But they, I think, really do learn a lot from that, and we make them all do some basic financial literacy and write checks and that things. Okay. One of our really big exciting projects that is ongoing this year is our theater project. So we found out in April, I believe, that we are going to be receiving $3 million to build an amphitheater along the Breck River. Once again, huge thank you to General Assembly for making that happen for us. I think that this is a great example, tying back to the beginning, of us not only looking to invest in industrial projects and to create jobs, but investing in creating a place where people want to live and work. So we don't have anything really like this in the area. You know, to seat up to 2,000 people if we include the lawn seating, 500 in this lower section. And I think because it's going to be owned partially, there's some complicated legal mechanics to how it has to be owned in the long run, but it will partially be owned by a nonprofit organization, so we'll be able to have some control over what the costs are and try to make it where it's not just a draw for tourists, but it's also something that is affordable and accessible cultural opportunities for our residents. We don't want people to have to be driving to Louisville and eating in Louisville and buying all their gas in Louisville to go and see a show if they can come and do it here and then have dinner here afterwards. Yes?
Where would it be located?
So, you know where Tom and Al's is, where you cross the bridge at North Fork? It's like right here. So, it's right before you cross the North Fork Bridge on the right. It used to be the City of Partinsburg's water plant, which I call the Haunted Mansion. It looks awful and has an ivy around it. And, the city donated that property to us because it was a mess. And this all started with a brownfield grant that I wrote for the tile plan for report, actually. We tried to buy that property and it didn't work out, but we did a brownfield assessment. The city clerk at the time for Orangeburg was on the Breckinridge board and asked if I'd write one for this property. So we did, and they didn't want to tear it down and take on a hassle, and so said, we'll take on. And so they donated the property to us, and now it's going to be an amphitheater. Thank you, City of Partinsburg. We did say that we'd use it for something good, and I hope this is something good. Other questions? Targeted start date, I hope, for construction is next year. Have some meetings with the architects later on in next month. I have an advisory committee of some folks that live around the area that are going to help us wade through this conversation as well. I would love for it to be operational in 2028. We'll see. So, I have some funny pictures. Since I skipped over the financial part because it was not behind me to talk about, I will briefly just hit on that you have around the room and folks when you're watching. This is available, not currently on the website, but we do keep a copy of our financial reports on the website of what we spent and made in the last year. And a couple of things I did want to point out about that is, I know it looks scary because we did spend more this year than we made, but if you happen to look at last year, we made way more last year than we spent. And because we are involved in real estate, that is how it goes sometimes. We sold a piece of property last year, and we did not this year, so we had a lot of extra to help hold us over into this year. Another thing that I want to point out is that because our KPDI grants are reimbursement phase, we have spent quite a bit of money in this year's fiscal year that we have not gotten back yet, but we will. So that fiscal year is a snapshot, and I think it's very useful for us to think about where our money went and how we're doing, but there are things that don't always fall neatly inside those lines. So if anyone has questions about money stuff, I'm happy to take those as well. So that one. You guys are very content. Everybody's happy? Okay. Do we have any online questions?
We do not.
Well, that was shockingly easy. Thank you all.
Thank you.
If anybody has anything else they want to ask about later, I'm always available and happy to talk. And I hope that this just gives you all an indication of what we're up to and how you all can be involved. And